Hi, everybody. My name is Panchèvre. A few of you have known me for a decade now. Those that knew me back when I was a competitor knew me as a cocky little extemper, and coincidentally, you're all sitting at that table over there. But those who don't know me, or perhaps maybe more recently know me as the founder of Prepped, which is a technology startup that's building software for competitive speech and debate teams. So I wanted to briefly speak before you all, share with you our story and our vision for debate technology, and ask you for your support. Exactly 4 years ago, in the fall of 2012, I was going through a difficult moment in my life. I had taken an extended leave of absence from college, and during that time, I somehow started a business. I started Social Commerce. It was a mobile technology startup back in 2010, and it was an amazing experience. I raised millions of dollars, I employed dozens of people, I launched a product, but I also mismanaged the technology, I entangled the business in litigation, I had to lay off staff, and our problems compounded to a point that I had to shut down the business. So in the fall of 2012, I found myself unemployed, broke, and facing the immensely heartbreaking and irritating task of having to unwind a business. So perhaps as a form of therapy, I started reconnecting with the local speech and debate community. I went to a few schools and I volunteered as a coach. I went to a few tournaments and I volunteered as a judge. And during the course of those interactions, I had this reoccurring conversation with students and their coaches. And that is that the rules had changed. They can now use laptops and tablets in extemp while they compete. And as a technology guy, what applications should they be using? They've tried Dropbox and Evernote and Google Drive, and none of those applications are really quite working. I had this conversation frequently enough that I realized that the market was communicating a problem to me, and it was a problem that I felt that I was in a position to solve. I knew the activity, and I had managed to hold on to a small engineering team that was originally working with me at Social Commerce. So in April of 2014, myself, Madeline, Mihai, two programmers who live in Romania, the three of us started Prepped. In August of 2013, we launched the very first version of Prepped. That first iteration was focused exclusively on building an application for extemporaneous speaking to make it easy to research, practice, and compete. But that first version of Prepped was flawed. Architecturally, it wasn't designed in an optimal way. We had challenges synchronizing in offline, and we knew that we couldn't invest further into that technology. So we decided to abandon that first version of Prepped and rebuild from scratch. So in May of 2014, we launched Generation 2. We redesigned Prepped to make it more beautiful, to make it more usable, to incorporate feedback from students and features that had been requested, and of course, to make it higher performing. And that technology base, that Generation 2 model, carried us for the next 2 years. In December of 2014, we released an iPad application. In May of 2015, right about the time that I was finally graduating from college, we released a Congress application. And then in August of 2015, we released a dashboard, a standalone application to help debate coaches manage and monitor their team activity. So at this point, I found myself away from school with time on my hand, and I decided to embark on a customer empathy journey. Last fall, I visited a bunch of schools, and I tried to learn how Prepped was working in a native environment, and I tried to gain empathy for what students and teachers were doing in classrooms and the challenges they were facing with technology. I came out of that experience inspired by our customer base and determined to expand the mission of Prepped. So internally within the Prepped team, we started to discuss our ideal state. If we could build whatever we wanted to build without practical constraints, what would we build? How can we deliver a technology experience for the community that's truly magical? Through the course of our research, we determined that teams need a comprehensive debate technology that solves a number of issues for both the debaters and the teachers, but most importantly is fully integrated so that all the data and everything that's done is shared and is collaborative. Internally, we started articulating a vision for an operating system for the activity, or a technology platform, if you will. And we believe that that technology platform should do three things. The first is evidence management. It should do a great job of collaborating and sharing files across a number of different applications. The second is education technology. This community's technology needs to enhance the educational aspect of the activity, not undermine it. And the third is debate productivity. We want debaters to be able to research and compete in really efficient ways. So all good, right? The problem is that it wasn't that simple. over the past few weeks, I've had questions and correspondence with coaches, and they asked me, why Generation 3? Why did you have to rebuild Prepped? The previous version of Prepped was working fine. If it's not broken, why fix it? And the truth is that the previous version of Prepped was broken. That technology architecture would have never enabled the vision that we had formed. It was a collection of applications that were disconnected. So imagine if you were in Extemp and you were reading an article and highlighting content, and then you were to open that same article in Congress, you would expect those highlights to be there. But with that previous version of Prepped, that wouldn't have been possible. So we decided, one more time, let's start from scratch. Let's take everything we've learned over the last 3 years and let's build our ideal state. And for the past year, that's what we've been doing. Researching, designing, programming, testing. We launched Generation 3 this past August. And in doing so, we transformed from being a collection of disconnected applications into a true technology platform. And as a platform, we're now in a position where we can deliver a wave of innovation that this community has never seen before. We have the product model and the technology infrastructure in place to provide really magical technology experiences that previous generations of debaters would have never even imagined. So our goal, our mission now, is to build transformative debate technology. We want to do this because we believe that this community, that you all, deserve high-quality software, which, frankly, we don't have enough of in this activity. As a former debater, I know how transformative and impactful debate is. I know that in high school, there was no class or activity that did more to develop my critical thinking, my knowledge base, and my public speaking skills. Debate itself is transformative. And I believe that if this activity is powered by transformative technology, then future generations of debaters are going to benefit in ways that would have been unthinkable in the past. Of course, we can't build this by ourselves. We need the support of the community. We need to build this together as a collaborative effort. And there are 3 ways that you can help us build this technology. The first is by having and exercising some patience in terms of our pace of progress. Generation 3, under the hood, is super powerful. The technology is really well organized, and we're running on very advanced web technologies. But on the surface, there are issues with the new version of Prepped. We're going through growing pains at the moment. There are still some bugs that we need to fix. There are still opportunities for us to improve the performance. There are design flaws that are making some features a little confusing. And of course, there are some features we've promised that we have not yet delivered. But the good news is that all this is imminently fixable. We will get this done, and we'll get it done quite soon. Prepped has an amazing team behind it. Aside from myself, there are 4 engineers, Madeline, Catalin, Emmanuel, and Andre. There's a lady who does testing and customer support, Raluca. And then there's Andre, who makes Prepped beautiful. And they're working full-time, and they're very committed to turning this vision to reality. So I have full faith in our team that we can get this done, and that we can get it done soon. The second way to support Prepped is by communicating to us. If you are experiencing problems, tell us. If there are features that aren't quite working the way you want them to, tell us. It's not going to hurt our feelings to receive negative feedback. What is upsetting, though, is when I hear after the fact that teams had problems with Prepped, and they never corresponded with us, and they just gave up on the software. If we don't know something's broken, we don't know that we need to fix it. So we really want to encourage the community to provide feedback, and also we want you guys to check your emails, because from time to time we'll send updates and open them, read them, follow the instructions. It'll make things go much more smoothly. So more communication. And of course, the third and final way to support Prepped is by purchasing our software. Your patronage will enable this technology to become a reality. I have tried and I have failed to raise outside capital for Prepped. Investors either think that our market is too small to justify a business that's worth investing in, that the earning potentials and the growth potentials are too limited, or in the case of institutional investors that exclusively invest in early-stage education technology startups. Their feedback is that speech and debate is not educational enough. It's heartbreaking to hear this, but what I've heard a few times is, Prepped is great, you've made a lot of progress, your apps look awesome, but speech and debate is an extracurricular. It's not really an educational activity. And as such, we don't think Prepped would really fit in our portfolio of edtech startups. So that's the reality. I can't do anything to change those points of view. What needs to happen is that this community needs to rally behind Prepped so that the business is financially sustainable. We have expenses. This year, we need 550 schools to purchase Prepped for us to break even. Right now, we're on pace for 300. I'm optimistic that as the technology continues to improve, that the community will come behind it and will rally accordingly. So I have full faith that everything will work itself through. But of course, you buying Prepped is going to help us go a long ways in terms of achieving our goals. So this is probably more than just brief. So I'll wrap it up at this point. Just to impress upon you all that Prepped is much more than just an application for extemporaneous speaking. We're trying to build a truly transformative debate technology platform. And we have the technology that we need, we have the team that we need, and we're determined to get it done. With your help, I have no doubt that we will do so. So with that, I will yield my time to the chair. Thank you.